Okay, in my last video, I dealt with the showed you how to figure out what the closest enemy is. Showed you the code. If you have a bunch of enemies in the scene, like here, I showed you how to figure out which one's the closest enemy. So this is what the code was from last video. But the one problem that we had was that it would work for a while, then it would stop working. And the reason why it would stop working is because, let's just say the player came really close, just say this character, then all of a sudden, not only would this character be set as the closest enemy, but the closest enemy distance, which is this variable right here, it would be set to that very small value. So therefore, the distances of all the other enemies would be compared to that very small value, so that in order for a different enemy to be set as the closest enemy, they would have to be even closer than that really close distance. So there has to be a way to constantly set it back to a very high value. So by default, the game starts off with the closest enemy distance of 2000. So what I did was at the beginning of the tick, I do a do once. So everything that I did last video, it does it once, but after 0.05 seconds, it resets. So 1 second divided by 0.05 is 20. So every second, this fires 20 times. The reason why that this works is because I also added, after every reset, which is 20 times per second, it resets the closest enemy distance to the default value 2000. So, so 20 times in 1 second, I'm setting it to 2000, and each time it sets the closest enemy, it's comparing the value of each enemy in the loop to this value, 2000, instead of comparing it to a really small value. So if I go play now, I can go and run around, and if you look to the left of the screen, it's constantly updating, no matter where I go, how long I do this, as long as enemies are detected. So just say I walk over to this enemy right here with the gun, then as you can see, it says Android gun BP at the top left, and as the fighter gets closer, so unlike the last video, it doesn't stop working. It just keeps on updating 20 times per second. Keeps on getting reset. So that's a major improvement. So this means it's working constantly, which is great. So I'm going to escape out of that. Another thing that I want to do is I want to change, I had in the group, the interface, the closest enemy interface, I had this variable called enemy in question. I'm going to get rid of that. So over here, so basically I had it with each fighter. If enemy in question is equal to self. So first I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go over here, delete all this. Over here. I don't think that this is working, so I'm going to disconnect the enemy in question here, and I'm basically just going to get rid of this variable. basically I want to add another one called unset closest enemy. So if I compile that, back to my fighter, I'm going to look for unset closest enemy. So if it's set closest enemy, then that means this enemy is closest enemy, but if it's unset, then I'm going to uncheck it. And I'm going to do that for the other two. So that was the fighter, this is the gun. So I need to do the same thing, unset. So basically, these two variables is what determines this right here. If closest enemy, if it is closest enemy, then it's going to do all this. If not, then it's just going to stand idle, which is over here. But what I need to do is I need to go into female warrior to trigger these. So the way I have it here is basically I'm going to create a branch. I want to basically say if the array elements, or sorry, head actor, I want to get an equals. If it is the closest enemy, if this is true, then I'm going to trigger this. Why is it? Try that again. Equals. This equals closest enemy. I need all the other things to stay connected. For some reason, it previously disconnected all these. If this, if any given actor within each loop is the closest enemy, then I'm going to set the closest enemy in this, whatever actor is being checked in this loop. If it's false, we'll get the unset. If it does not equal, then I'm going to do this. So I'm going to cross my fingers, I'm going to compile, and I'm going to see if it works. So basically I want some of these guys to stop walking towards me, which is exactly what's happening. Only one player's closest enemy. So if another player is closest enemy, Oh, it's not working. At least one of them should be walking right up to me. Why is it not working? Let me think for a second here. Insert closest enemy. Maybe I need to plug in this one. So none of them are walking to me. That wasn't it. So this one actually worked, but then it stopped working. Try once more. So all the other ones stop. One starts walking towards me. As soon as a different one becomes closer, maybe this has to happen somewhere over here. What if I do a sequence here? That doesn't work. That's so strange. I've created a bit of a mess here. I'm gonna erase all this. Originally I had this set closest enemy and the unset closest enemy, but I want to get rid of this unset. I think it's kind of redundant. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I have to go here, and I'm going to get rid of the unset closest enemy. So I'll delete. I don't need that anymore. So basically, if the instead of putting this here, I'm going to disconnect this. I'll put this over at the end. So it'll come right after the print string. But I need a way. The closest enemy equals the particular actor within a loop. Then I'm going to is closest enemy in this actor. As soon as I need a way to deactivate it, because if it's true, then his closest enemy is true, and if it's false, then this gets unchecked. Okay, I finally got it to work. So if I go into the female, this is what I had I think previously. I put it after the print string at the very end. If the closest enemy is equal to the enemy in this loop, then I'm going to trigger this, and if it happens to be this one, then the trigger is going to come out this end and it's going to set is close enemy is true. But instead of using an interface for the opposite, if I want to uncheck, right here I have it checked, if I want to uncheck it, I decided to use a tick. So I created a custom event, so it's called is not closest enemy tick, and I have it firing from the event tick here, and I'm basically using get all actors of class and then cast to female warrior. So get all actors of class, select female warrior in the drop down, cast to female warrior, make sure you get a get node, get a copy node, and then I'm just checking from here for that female warrior, I'm getting the closest enemy, and I'm checking to see that it is not self, so that this blueprint is not the closest enemy, and if that's true, then I uncheck this. Okay, so now that's working. Now that that's working, I'm going to clean some stuff up. So I can go to this BPI, and I'm just going to get rid of this boolean because I don't need it. Compile, save all. So if I play, as you can see, the Android Fighter is the closest one, so it's the only one that's walking to me. The other ones stop, but as soon as I get closer to the sword guy, the Android Fighter stops walking and the sword guy walks towards me, which is exactly what I want. If I move away, then a different fighter is closer. Move this way, a different fighter is closer, so it's only one bad guy that's engaged in combat with me. And this is how it is if you play like a Batman game, like Arkham Origins or something. There could be like several enemies in the alleyway, but Batman's only engaged in combat with one enemy at a time. And this is exactly how it works. So now that's working, I'm very happy. The next thing I want to do is I want to work on the rotation. I want to work on the rotation of the player when the player attacks, but going on here? Okay. It's all good now. So I need to go to melee attacks, sword attacks. So this is I think these are the punching. There's the sword attacks when the sword is equipped. Okay. With equip number, so I'll just equip number is 0, which means nothing is equipped, and can attack is true, then a good place to do this would be, I'll move all this down. So if the attack button is pressed and nothing is equipped, it's just for fists, then can attack is temporarily turned off, because that way you can't punch multiple times. You can only punch after this 1 second, and after that 1 second it's turned back to true, and when that's true, then this can fire again whenever the button is pressed. The collision for the, I guess, the fists is yeah, the attack collider is turned on, and then it's no collision after 1.5 seconds. So I'm going to add another thing here. It says if if closest enemy distance is smaller than, before I do that, I want to get a sense of distance. So for my event, I'm going to do a print string. Get the distance to the closest enemy distance. So it's going to tell me the distance to the closest enemy. It's not telling me. It's just showing me 2000. Print string. Maybe I'll do it the other way. Go from this Android writer, and I'll get the distance to player. So the closest one is about, I think, it felt like 500. Where am I? Okay. The closest enemy distance is smaller than 500. Then I'll do a sequence just in case I need more pins. But for now, I'm just going to do move component 2. I'm going to go with the capsule component. I'll give myself more space here. This is really cluttered. Zero. Get world location. Oops. Location. It's not going to be any different, so I'm just going to plug in whatever it is at the moment. I want to get the world rotation and a split struct pin. So the X and Y is going to remain the same, so I just plug those in. But it's the Z that the left and right turn. I need to find, look at rotation. The start is get actor rotation. Just the rotation of the player. Oh no, sorry. Get actor location. And closest enemy. Get actor location. Plug that in. A split struct pin, and I'm only looking for the Z rotation. And I want to set this to 0, so I want it to be almost instantaneous. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. Okay, one thing that I changed is I disconnected this branch. Closest enemy, if it's closer, smaller than 500. I'm going to get rid of that. I think that's something that has to do with that wasn't making this work, but this set actor rotation works. So any of this stuff I don't need, I'm just going to get rid of. So set actor rotation. X and Y stays the same. Whatever the actor rotation in the X and Y is, it just remains. I'm just getting the Z from the find look at rotation between the closest enemy and the player's actor location. So if I compile that, as you can see, if I press punch, just say so the next closest enemy is this one, so if I just say look away from him, I press punch, the kick, and then the next one is the next would be, I guess, this guy. But if I look on the left side of the screen, it says Android Gun BP. But if I move over to this one, it changes to BP2, which is the other gun. So if I look away from him and I press the punch button, there we go. So that's all I want to do for this video. I think I'm very happy with that, my progress, but there's still more to do. Um, when she's engaged in combat with the closest enemy, I want to make it harder so that she has to wait, the player has to wait for the right moment to punch instead of just like, clicking, a whole bunch of times. It's more of like trying to gauge when the best moment is to punch. So that's kind of the goal that I'm going to go for. But not for this video. I think this is more than enough. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and please stay tuned for future videos.